A storm of words and silence collided this week in South Africa's heated political arena. Julius Malema, the fiery leader of the economic freedom fighters, unleashed a scathing insult directed at KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Lieutenant-General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. "The police is not Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's underwear," Malema declared in front of cameras, his tone dripping with ridicule. And yet, in the face of this insult, Mkhwanazi stood firm, not with retaliation, but with silence. That silence has become louder than Malema's words, echoing across the nation. To understand the gravity of this moment, you need the background. Julius Malema is no stranger to controversy. Known for his sharp tongue, theatrical gestures, and fearless criticism of those in power, Malema thrives on confrontation. On the other side stands Lieutenant-General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, a disciplined police commander whose reputation has grown in recent months for exposing corruption and speaking hard truths before the Madlanga Commission. These two figures embody two different faces of South Africa's struggle: fiery political rhetoric versus the calm persistence of law enforcement under fire. What sparked Malema's outburst was not just personal dislike, but deeper tensions around the police force itself. Mkhwanazi's growing visibility has placed him in the center of national debates on corruption, political killings, and accountability. For Malema, who often positions himself as a voice of the people against authority, Mkhwanazi represents the establishment, a man whose silence in politics makes him a target for loud attacks. In this clash, words were Malema's weapon. But Mkhwanazi's refusal to reply has turned that silence into its own kind of defiance. The insult itself, comparing the police to underwear, was intended to humiliate. Malema wanted headlines, shock, and perhaps even a furious response. But when that response never came, something else happened. South Africans began debating not Malema's insult, but Mkhwanazi's composure. Was his silence a sign of strength, showing that he refuses to be dragged into political mudslinging? Or was it weakness, showing he cannot defend himself? This question has divided audiences and added more weight to the unfolding drama. On social media, Malema's words spread instantly. Clips of the insult trended within hours, sparking memes, outrage, and admiration depending on where one stood politically. EFF supporters applauded Malema's bravery in telling it like it is. Critics, however, accused him of lowering the tone of political discourse, saying South Africa needs solutions, not insults. Amid all this noise, Mkhwanazi's refusal to clap back has only made him look like a man focused on his mission rather than his ego. But what exactly is at stake here? This isn't just a war of words. At its core, it's about power, respect, and the credibility of South Africa's institutions. Mkhwanazi has become a central figure in exposing alleged corruption and political interference within the police service. His testimony has already linked powerful figures to criminal networks. Malema's attack could be read as an attempt to delegitimize Mkhwanazi in the public eye, weakening his authority by turning him into a punchline. The battle is not about underwear. It is about who controls the narrative of justice in South Africa. The events leading here stretch back months. From the Fela scandal to the Madlanga Commission's bombshell hearings, South Africans have been living through a season of revelations. Each name mentioned, each accusation laid bare, fuels the sense that the system is under siege. Into this volatile mix stepped Mkhwanazi, presenting himself as a disciplined officer committed to the truth. Malema's attack is one more spark in an already raging fire. Why does this matter? Because the credibility of law enforcement is already fragile. Every insult, every suggestion that the police are tools of individuals rather than servants of the people chips away at public trust. For citizens already plagued by violent crime, corruption, and political assassinations, the last thing they need is more doubt about whether those in uniform serve justice or power. Malema's words hit deeper than comedy. They strike at the heart of trust in authority. And yet, Mkhwanazi's silence has created a different kind of impact. It has given him the aura of a man above the fray, someone unwilling to trade barbs while the nation bleeds. For some, that restraint makes him look presidential, even heroic. For others, it makes him look cold, detached, and perhaps too cautious in a country where passion often drives politics. Which interpretation is correct may depend not on Mkhwanazi, but on the story South Africans want to believe. The reactions so far are telling. EFF rallies amplify Malema's insult, while ordinary citizens debate whether leaders should stoop so low. Analysts on television dissect every frame of Mkhwanazi's unflinching composure. Some praise his discipline, noting that responding would have only fueled Malema's agenda. Others warn that silence can be dangerous. When you don't defend yourself, you let others define you. The clash has become less about words and more about symbolism. Did you expect this twist? That an offhand insult about underwear would evolve into a national conversation about integrity, strength, and leadership? How would your community respond if a politician mocked your police chief in such a public way? Would silence be seen as dignity or as weakness? The possible consequences ahead are unpredictable. Malema thrives when he has a rival to fight. If Mkhwanazi continues to ignore him, Malema may escalate his attacks, using even harsher words to provoke a reaction. On the other hand, Mkhwanazi's silence could starve Malema of oxygen, showing South Africa that some battles are not worth fighting. What happens next may shape not only their personal reputations, but also how future leaders handle public insults in a fragile democracy. Beyond personalities, this episode shines light on South Africa's political culture. Too often, public debate descends into personal attacks instead of policy discussions. Citizens hungry for solutions to unemployment, poverty, and crime instead watch leaders spar with insults. That is why Mkhwanazi's silence matters. It forces the focus back to substance. Or, at least, it gives citizens the choice to demand substance over spectacle. Ordinary South Africans are left wondering, in a time when political killings are rising, when corruption steals millions from communities, when ordinary families live in fear, should leaders waste time on insults? Or should they focus on justice, accountability, and rebuilding trust? These questions linger long after the insult has faded from the headlines. As the dust settles, one truth is clear. Both Malema and Mkhwanazi have defined themselves in this moment. Malema as the bold, unfiltered critic who spares no one. Do you believe justice has really been served when leaders reduce their rivals to jokes? Or does true justice come from ignoring noise and focusing on accountability? This is the debate South Africans are having now. Thank you for watching. If this story opened your eyes to the battles shaping South Africa today, don't forget to like this video, share it widely, and